Hi, YouTube. All right, I'm gonna wait a few more minutes until we get more people. Hey, YouTube. All right, I'm gonna start in a few minutes. So if you're in the room, come and state who you are. All right, I'm gonna wait. Oh, I'm responding to an email I received from one of y'all about the ELE grant, PPP loans, how to apply, if you could apply. So I'm going to make this real brief because I understand that a lot of people didn't know about it or couldn't apply for whatever reason. And when I first talked about this last year, sometime, I mentioned it then. So now that that money basically has been, that program basically ended. That's what I'm going to say. So let me say that. So before I'm going to start in a few minutes. Comment in the chat so I know who I'm talking to. And I know a lot of people were looking forward to getting more information about it, unfortunately. But there was a lot of, I ain't gonna say confusion, but it was seen to be, and I'll tell you my experience about it. And then I'll go into the updates and tell you how it migrated to how I became eligible for the ELE grant, not PPP loan and anything else. So let me start, and then you just go back in the replay. And if you have any other questions, you can send me an email message. But I did respond to the person who sent me an email. I just read it. I responded. If you have to give me a call, please give me a call. I'll be available tomorrow around morning, early afternoon, and then I have to work at Amazon tomorrow. Tomorrow's Thursday, so Thursday, Friday, Saturday for my 12-hour shifts. That's when I'm very busy. So it's kind of like, take me an hour or so to get there, and then of course it takes me an hour to get back, and so I have to leave the house at a good substantial time, and I have to leave the house early tomorrow because I have to go to the store prior to going to work. So anyway, let me start. So the Ely, and I found out how do you pronounce it. It's not Ely or EDLD or whatever, because I went on a conference call with the SBA. If you want to get updates, ooh, hey, de jour. So the LD, I can't even pronounce it. They said it too. ELDI. So basically, let me begin from the beginning. Now, I was fortunate to get advice or an update from one of the subscribers. Leslie told me about it initially because when it first came out, this was part of the CARES Act from last year, back in March. And that was the one that Trump had passed. And it was basically where if you were an independent contractor was not exclusively for if you only did Uber, Lyft, Grubhub, those major ones. It was anyone that was an independent contractor, but you were self-employed, 1099. And what it was that the Ely grant, you had to file your tax return, and it was based on 2019 to 2020. So with that, when they first came out with the grant, it was a lot of companies that were getting these grants, and the small business person, they didn't have opportunities to take advantage of it because they ran out of money within a month and a half. So there was a lot of backlash too. There were companies that were worth millions of dollars. They were getting the grants, but someone who was like a small business, they ran out of money supposedly. So when they first came out, you had to. It was $1,000. They gave out $1,000, and basically it was like kind of like an emergency, And the process of applying was not that difficult. You go to sba.gov, then you clicked on the ELDI grant. And when you go onto the ELDI grant, you just basically filled out basic information. And you also provide basic information. So it was like you had to have less than 300 employees, well, less than 500 employees or less, self-employed, and it was based on 2019, 2020 in terms of being in business. So they gave out the $1,000. Basically, it was more like an emergency at first. So when they passed the CARES Act, and it was supposed to set aside to help small business, it was supposed to be where you would have got like $10,000 grant. So the ones who had the $1,000, like myself, the difference was the $9,000. Now, prior to me getting the full amount, they was asking me, calling me on the phone about the PPP loan. Now, the PPP loan is the payroll protection program. That basically was funds that was available for those to handle your payroll, to keep people working. Whether it was yourself, it was really to cover your expenditures of your business. So it was a PPP. That was a loan. Now, what people got in trouble was that people were making up false businesses, filing, LLCs and false documentation to get the PPP loan, where they would get the loan, didn't file no tax return, they didn't have no Schedule C, they just basically registered a made up name of a business and got these loans where basically it was false. And this is where the scam came into effect. There were people who were getting all of this money without them necessarily checking. But when you sign for those funds, they always will say, you have to file a 4506T, which is your tax return transcript. And regardless what the amount of money it was, they could always go back and audit it because you had to test that the information you submitted was accurate and true. Now, when they opened it back up again, but those who didn't get it, you had to get an email that saying that you were eligible for the remaining amount, which was $9,000. If I got 1,000, then the $9,000 was the difference. So let me go over and read some things because hold on for a moment, y'all. Whoever's in the chat, hey Dijor, you the only one? Everybody come on and say something. So I could so let me tell you. So when I first got that LD, they was asking me, do I want the loan? I said no, because I did not have capabilities, or would I say I wanted to put myself into a 3% interest rate for 30 years to pay it back. And I said no, because I didn't want no loan. They was pushing me about that loan. Now, there's eligibility where if it was part of the CARES Act and you got that loan, it could be forgiven, but you had to apply and ask that it be forgiven. And you also had to have a gross income that was 30%. That means you had, let me go ahead and read it because it's easy for me to read it. Now, the eligibility was small business owners, nonprofit organizations, which includes agricultural business in all 50 states in Washington, D.C., and the U.S. territories. They were eligible for the loan. Now, the PPP loan, it was exactly 3.75% for business, 2.75% for nonprofit, which is fixed for 30 years. And you could pay it back early with no pre-penalty or anything else. And it was used for working capital and operating expenses, meaning rent, utilities, debt payments, health care, things of that nature. And now this one is, now there's two different programs. This is the SBA loan. Now SBA gave disaster loans. Now I went to a webinar that was conducted by the SBA last week, and I did take some notes, but I think I'm going to do a exclusively separate video on that. I don't want to get anyone confused because there is a difference between what the SBA is now offering, which are SBA loans. It's not forgivable because it's not part of the PPP loan, so that's different. But the terms of getting that is quite different, and you have to have collateral, and they do check your credit. Now, let me see here. Now, let me just talk about the grant, because I know a lot of people was interested in applying and they wanted to get the grant. And I hate to say it, unfortunately, you had to apply last year. When I first did the video last year, I went and I even went on the application portal, showed people how to fill it out. I said, go ahead and fill it out now. And some people were kind of questionable about it. And they was like, well, let me speak to my, accountant, all this kind of stuff. And I said, okay, I can't make people do anything. But I told y'all to apply. When I said to apply last year, I said, go ahead and apply because it was only one of those first come, first serve basis of eligibility. And I said, once that funds ran out, that was it. So you really had to initially get the $1,000. Then they send you an email about the remaining 9,000, which was a $10,000 grant. The requirements were you had to have under 300 employees and under, be in U.S. territories and the states. Of course, no felonies of any sort. Um, you had to live in a low income area, and I showed that on a map. It was a previous video. I downloaded the map, and you had to put your address, and it showed you had to be in a distressed area, and it was a map. Now let me see if that information is still there. Hold on. All right, I'm going to share the screen again. Okay, let me make this bigger. Is this big? Can y'all see this? Okay, you see where it says low income communities mapping tool, 30%. The main thing is the 30% reduction in revenue. What that means is that when you file your tax return on Schedule C, and your income was 30% less than what you've made from the previous year, from 2019, it was an 8-week period beginning March 2nd of 2020 and later. So if your adjusted gross income, it's not based on any particular dollar amount, as long as it's 30% less. So say you made $1,000 and then suddenly you went down to, my toes killing me. You went down to making, I'm just using simple numbers. I don't want to get so technical. So say you made $1,000 and you suddenly was, you self-employed, Uber Eats, Grubhub, whatever, food delivery, 1099, and you went from making $1,000 to say $600. That's a 30%. That's more than a 30% reduction. And it had to be during an 8-week period of time. So it means at the 2 months or 8 weeks, you have to at least been working or being an independent contractor at least 2 months, not 2 weeks, but at least a minimum of at least 2 months that you were, and then it falls between that period of time from March 2nd, 2020 or later. And you have 300 or fewer employees. So basically, you could be an independent contractor of one. And let me go ahead and look at this. Now, this supplemental target advance, this is the $5,000. So this was located in low income communities, has 10 or fewer employees, and this map, go Go to the map. Let me see what. Can y'all see anything? God dang. I don't know how to. How do y'all look at this map? Hold on. All right, let me share this map. I don't know how to. I thought I was gonna be able to navigate from these screens. Ugh. Okay, I was trying to show the map thing. I have to figure out because see, I don't have no advanced version of this StreamYard, and I'm trying to figure out how do people link to show and navigate and move it. Well, this is from the SBA.gov website. And then I went from there. That's when I went to um, the grant, Supplemental Target Advance. Oh, did it work? I think it worked. I hope it did. How they got to this section is you just hit apply. Once you hit apply, you just fill out the basic information. Just answer the question. It's not that long. Now, if anybody needs help and they want to do it one-on-one and share the screen, I could do that. So the person who wanted me to show them about how to apply, I did send you a message. So check your email and Sunday, because that's when I'm off. That's Saturday night, Sunday morning. We could you could call me on Sunday, or we could go over it on Sunday, and we could just do it privately without me, showing you all here. It's easy to do it like that. So this is where you go to apply. Now, I just went on the website and I just clicked on apply, and I would do it as soon as I would do it quickly because I was able to get on there. I was able to get to the section to apply. You want to apply ASAP. Now, the thing about that, you got to make sure you filed your tax return and you have a Schedule C. Because if you have not filed your tax return and you did Uber Eats, Grubhub, whatever, and you have to show that you were in business. Now, you don't have to go and get an LLC and all those kind of, you don't have to do all that. If you food delivery, whether you are picking up groceries and you are Schedule C, you will get this grant. You'll be eligible to get it as long as you have a 30% reduction in income. And then because they're going to ask for the return from 2019 and 2020. Now, I know for me, and I didn't hustle like that. I wasn't one of those people who was on YouTube saying, oh, I made $5,000 a week and $2,000 a week. And, I wasn't all that. Most people who, if you were doing these gig work apps or whatever the case may be, you have some type of reduction in income, especially if you've been in it, say, when I started. Even if you started doing this food apps, deliveries, as long as you meet the criteria when you started and you file your tax return on the Schedule C, and people, because let me tell you, this is what things that piss me off. When I speak to people, not even on YouTube, when I was doing my survey assignments, doing the resets, going to the stores and stuff, and I would speak to people, And I'm gonna need to start doing some business cards so I can start passing them out to people, because a lot of people I come across, they do survey or they do the resets, they work for themselves as a small business, whether they are Uber, Grubhub, or whatever the case may be. They self-employed just like me. And I started talking about um, the SBA and the grants and stuff, and people's like, I didn't know. I wonder if I could get that, and and they have paid people to do their tax return. They pay them $300, $400, $500, and I was like, see, if I was doing someone's tax return and I saw that they was a Schedule C, I would have told people about it. I would say, oh, by the way, you could apply for for this grant. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is they say no, or they ran out of money, or whatever the case may be. I would have, you would have known. People would have known if I did their return. And I'm not saying that to solicit for business and whatever the case may be, because let me tell you, next year when January falls around, because see, I go back to TurboTax December the 8th or the 12th, whatever day, I can't remember. And that's when I do, we do training and stuff, and I'm gonna have to do training for a couple weeks, and then boom, the tax season is up and running. And we have to go over, when we go over training, that's new updates and stuff. And I work real hard when it's time for tax season, so I will be going back to TurboTax into it, and I'm trying to finish studying up for my enrolled agent exam so I could become a tax expert. I don't even know why they put me, it's still the same thing, but anyway, I don't want to get too much in detail because y'all not going to understand what I'm saying. All I know is when TurboTax Intuit come around, and I don't know what's going to happen, if they're going to do all these shutdowns. I don't know. But it's going to be, even if they decided to, if this Rona doesn't get under control between now and the end of the year, beginning of the year, we may be facing another possible shutdown. And then on top of that, you hear a lot of these doom and gloom about the economy going to take a fall and all this kind of stuff. And, everything is already expensive, inflation, everything's going high, prices going up. Jackson Hewitt and H&R Block and all these other tax preparing business, they're not going to be charging no $150, $200 to do those tax return. It's going to be more like $400, $500, if not more. Because I know last year, this past tax season, there were people, they went to TurboTax to do it themselves because they went and marched their way back to H&R Block and Jackson Hewitt and some other places, and the places they were going to were closed. They weren't taking appointments. And if they were taking appointments, some people, they wanted to charge them $400, $500. People don't have that kind of money to pay to do no taxes. And I'm not talking about the simple return. You just got a couple W-2s. You could just buy the software, input it yourself, and pay for the software, and that'll be it. And VITA, which is for low income, you have a basic return. They used to be able to go to churches and stuff and used to get it done for not, it wasn't just churches, it was churches and places you could go to, community centers, and they would do the tax return for people. And I'm talking about you had to be simple. You can't come on here with a Schedule C and all these different forms talking about you want to use VITA. Those were like low income. You just got a W-2 and that's it. And you putting, your dependent information to determine to get the child tax credit. And that was it. But they don't even have a lot of that VITA services. They didn't offer it this year because they were shut down. They weren't taking people you can't just walk anywhere and wait in the line. Nope. And they ain't going to do it next year either. They're not going to do it next year because a lot of these organizations and stuff, they're not going to provide that free service and have people come in and say, oh, can we do it? I need help with my return. Nope, they're not going to open up. It may do drop and go, but I doubt it. And those programs for organizations are funded. That's, it's not just free to be done for free. Those are grants that are given to organizations to go to low income areas to do taxes. That's not free. That's nonprofit organizations that has funding. And they didn't have no, and they're not going to give no funding for that. They didn't do it last year, and they ain't going to do it next year. So now, basically, you could go to H&R Block, Jackson Hewitt. You may get if you're eligible to do it for free. You could do it for free. It could be done for free, but it's not going to be done by an individual. If you have, so I'm not talking about the basic, input, type, put address, read, the things that was instructing people last year. All you're doing is data entry. That's it. You're not figuring out taxes. You're not working stuff with paper and pen. But those who have a Schedule C and you self-employed and you were doing whatever it is, just choose whatever app, all of the apps, and you didn't apply for this grant, the Ely grant, last year, back in March, you could try to apply now, but it's all based on the funds that they have available. So let me see here. Let me go back. Oops. So if you have any questions, let me put the number in the chat. So if you have, this is the information to customer service. 800-659-2955. So if you have any questions, you can contact customer service and you could ask about your application and you could get specific information about your application once you put it in. If you have questions about your taxes and whether or not you could apply for it, and if you I could tell you if you probably get it, but like I said, it ain't gonna hurt to apply, and I could guide you one-on-one on that, especially if you didn't file a tax return. If you didn't file a tax return, or you didn't one, if you didn't file your tax return, or two, if you want to know will you be able to get it, I could tell you. And you don't have to go through LLC and all that stuff. You just apply as a simple return, sole proprietor, self-employed, using your social security number, which is part of your tax return. You don't need no special tax ID or anything else unless you're planning on having different types of business entity, But all of that is business structure. So that's something totally different that I could discuss depending on what type of business you want to form. And then this also applies for nonprofit organizations too. Nonprofit organizations qualify. Now, I know there was a few people that I came across recently wanting to start a nonprofit organization, and I guess they were trying to use their subscribers as, some doing a nonprofit. I still didn't get it, but people always trying to do things, and I was like, don't worry or focus on a mission statement. Focus on what type of entity 401c, whatever, and then go from there. You know, about developing a website, mission statements, and all that other kind of stuff. That's good and dandy. It's good to have those things, but one, you have to realize, even as a nonprofit organization, you have to follow and make sure you file the proper taxes with those too. You know, you must make sure you file tax returns on that as well. And and trust me, that's not an easy thing to do. There's a lot of people who, not small people on YouTube, but there are big time people who be making millions and millions of dollars, and people who were um, athletes and entertainers. Even that point on what Housewives of Atlanta or Hip Hop of Atlanta, one of those reality TV shows got caught up in that fraud with the PPP loans, talking about they had a trucking business, and got $2 million or something crazy. And it was the first. It was right at the beginning. Got caught up in that stupidness, trying to fraud the government. Now, I'm not. They're not looking just for people who are getting these big time millions of dollars and $500,000 or whatever. It's also small people too. Now, I'm not saying if you got like a $2,000 PPP loan, they're gonna look at you and say, "Okay, show us the proof." But most likely, they may not. But it clearly states with the PPP, it was basically to cover operating expenses and payroll. And then there's the and then there's the SBA loan, which is different. So, so with that being said, if you qualify for the PPP, not PPP, the grant, and the maximum is $10,000. Now, the advance one, which is the $5,000 targeted EB advance, was based on one being in a low income area. Oops, let me go back. Where is it at? Let me go back. Can y'all hear me? Oh. There, y'all still can't. Oh, how did I write this thing? Mm-hmm. Okay. I'm trying to figure this stupid thing out. How I could still talk and review these screens. I'm not filling this out because I don't need to fill this out. I'm just showing y'all what it looks like, the application process. Dang. Now make sure when you go to that first part, you have to make sure that every box is checked, that it doesn't fall. Because what I mean by that is that there's some people who are nonprofit. I know a person, you know what? I should look this bitch up and see if she got that loan and see if she even got anything of this PPP, because I know this person had a federal record and they better not have got that loan, because I will be telling. People say that's snitching. Ain't no snitching. I have my reasons. Trust and believe I got my reasons on this bitch. I think you know what I'm talking about. I think I told you about a few years ago. But anyway, if you have federal convictions and stuff like that, and you got this loan, trust and believe they're gonna be looking for you. So you couldn't have no record of any sort, and there were people who was felony conviction had felony charges, was getting that. was getting this loan and this grant. You weren't supposed to get that. But, any government program is so easy for people to scam, you know. And I've been looking at a lot of videos, people were scamming. So the advance targeted was an extra $5,000, and you had to live in a low income area, such as the ones showing on a map. I don't know if y'all can see it because I'm trying to. It was everything in this purple, but if you put your address and your zip code, it'll tell you whether or not you are in that zone. And if you're not in the zone, then you don't qualify to get that advance. I don't know, what did y'all see? Did y'all see what I'm talking about? Let me show this again. I was trying to show y'all. This is so dumb. Ugh. Anyway, I don't know. I thought I was able to be sharing the screen, but I don't know how to do this stupid thing. I don't know. I'll figure it out. I'm gonna have to figure this StreamYard more out because I've seen people do it, and they be sharing screens and showing stuff. I know how to do the screen, but how do you show the screen and navigate while I'm on the screen? But anyway. I'll do a video about the Sba Loan, which is separate from the Ppp Loan. But just to give you a brief overview, the Sba, which is the Small Business Administration, they also had a loan program. But the difference between that one is that you have to pay this back. There was some collateral that you have to have, at least $25,000. You have to have this credit score of at least 620. So I know a lot of people are not really looking into doing that, but that's just another information that I wanted to provide. So, but that's not the Ppp loan or part of the CARES. That's not part of the CARES Act where you have to repay it, where you can see if you qualify and don't have to pay it back. But you have to apply to see whether or not you're eligible and don't have to pay it back, but you had a 10-week period of time to do so. All right, it's 6 of y'all in here, but only seeing DeJour's name. Who else is in here? I'm not going to stay on long because I think I've used up all my hours for the month. I'm not sure yet. Hey, 7 people. We're just checking. See what else is going on. Well, anywho's, that's basically an overview about it. You can still apply for the ELE grant, and all you could do is apply because the SBA is kind of behind in processing, but they're picking it back up again. But you want to apply as soon as possible because once they kick in that new legislation of that infrastructure, that $2.1 trillion infrastructure. Now, let me briefly say that because a lot of people are going to be thinking that's another stimulus, but it's not. That is just infrastructure, which is to fix the bridges, roads, internet providing services, and it's supposed to be something for the next 20 years of fixing all these things that's broken down throughout the country, United States, like the bridges and water systems and internet and transportation. It didn't really mention too much about housing in that new infrastructure bill, but roads. Only thing I see good coming from that is they're gonna be a lot of jobs. That was it. It was infrastructure of jobs. They're gonna be hiring a lot of people. They're gonna be need a lot of skilled people that's gonna need to fix these infrastructures. And I said to myself, I'm still young. I'll be 52, 53. And I'm trying to hang in there with Amazon. The only reason I'm hanging in Amazon is so I could get there a year so I could go back to school and learn a new trade. They're not going to pay me to go get another degree. I don't want another degree. But I could go into a whole new career from healthcare, IT, paralegal, and um, welding. They even had that on there. Welding, construction type jobs or whatever. And I said, shoot, if I was a young person, like in my 20s or graduating from high school and I was working at Amazon, I'll stay my butt right at Amazon just long enough so I could go and learn a new trade, whether it be welding, construction, IT, like software development. They even had paralegal. They said that you could, and it wasn't based on no age or nothing. You could just go back to school and you don't have to work at Amazon. You just have to be there a year. And they had all these occupations that's in high demand. And when I went to the thing yesterday and they was talking about it, I said, ooh. And this was not just in the United States. This was also in other countries because, Amazon is international. Canada. And I said to myself, you know what? If I could just hang in there for another 10 months, no, I ain't been there 2 months yet. 11 more months. And in the meantime, I'm still trying to learn software development, programming. I'm still trying to learn different skills on these different programs that's free, but cybersecurity, I don't care. If I have to start, if it means me starting a brand new career at 53, 54, and I do that for 10 years, 10, 12 years, making six figures, I need to, you have to reinvent yourself. And if it means me going to Amazon and working at Intuit TurboTax during the tax season for any number of months, because I will be busy come January. January come, well, let's say December. December, January, I'm still working at Amazon. I'm gonna still hopping my way right on over there. Feet hurting and all. Work my little 3 days, 12-hour shifts, unless they approve my transfer to work the one up the street. Work my little 10 days, 10-hour days, 4 days a week or whatever, just to get just for them to pay 95% for me to learn a new skill. And I will be researching. I'm gonna tell you that. I will be researching different programs, the schools, whatever prerequisites they want you to learn. Because for me to go into the software development program of cybersecurity, I have to learn basic programming, and I'm learning that now. I've been learning so many different things. I've been learning that for the last couple of years. But I've been learning and going looking at videos and, but I just can't afford to pay no tens of thousands of dollars to these schools to go to. I'm like, I'm not taking no more loans. I ain't got that kind of money. And if I did have it, I said, well, shoot. They so demand that they need people in certain jobs that they act like trying to go through the program is hard. Let me tell you why I say that. When I was, when I went to the Department of Labor, what was that, 4 years ago? They smell it. You got a degree. You went to college. These programs for people who didn't graduate from high school. And I said, well, shit, these damn niggas can't even pass the fucking math test. How the hell you gonna say you only qualified? It was like, what the hell are you talking about? They didn't want to help me because I went to college and because I have a degree, but yet they'll help somebody on welfare, food stamps, don't have no education of beyond high school. They try to target people like that. And this is DeKalb County. That's one thing I hate about DeKalb County. They have all these programs that's supposed to help people who are unemployed and trying to learn. They're trying to get people some bullshit, bullshit stuff. Well, in the state of Georgia, the demand is warehouse. Warehouse? How was that? I said y'all talking about y'all have a demand for people to go into technology, and DeKalb County, and that's what I hate about us. And when I say us, I'm talking about black folks. You go to these offices and stuff, they be sitting in their little comfort chairs, working for the state of Georgia for 20, 25 years. And they some of these old people. They be all up in their office. They be so, they thinking they want your job. Ain't nobody want your damn job. 28,000 a year bullshit job doing what you're doing, because I knew it was gonna be obsolete. This was before COVID. So they had all these federal programs of letting people go to school, and they give you a voucher, and then you could choose whatever career and you go there. They're gonna tell me I didn't qualify because I have a degree. You got a degree, you can find a job. I said, I worked at the government at the IRS for over 10 years. My degree ain't worth shit no more. I said, why I can't qualify for it, but they want JoJo coming off the street, and they want them to, do construction. They barely even come to the class, barely finish the program. You have to take a math test. You have to take a grammar test before they get to the program. I said, these dumb people can't even pass math and the basic 8th grade English to even get to the program. And then they're trying to get people, let me tell you, and then when some of the people who they did try to get into the program, they barely got out of high school. They didn't get they didn't have no high school diploma or nothing. Okay, come on, we can show you we get into a career. We'll help you get your GED, and then after you get your GED, you get to the program for free. And they've gone there training people be CNAs and all that kind of bullshit stuff. But when I was asking about technology and IT, well, that's not a demand. I said, what do you mean that's not a demand? That's not a need. So, trust and believe. I've been working towards trying to get training. But some of these training programs, when you go to the state, it could be real hard to get into it. So I don't know, with this new bill, infrastructure bill, once it trickles down to the states and it's time to hire people for bridges and fixing buildings and roads and all of that, do they really have the qualified workforce? If they're talking about a shortage of people now or unskilled labor force in that type of industry, that $2.3 trillion ain't gonna make a damn thing if you ain't have nobody to do it. So that means I heard in part of the act that it hasn't gone to the House yet, so it's not, until it passed the House, it's not signed into law yet. So right now, they were saying part of that act was to get people from other countries with special visas to come to the United States to get these jobs to work. I was like, what? They'll hire. They said they're gonna hire people from other countries. Oh, what is thing? From other countries with special visas to come here and work and trust and believe. See, everything might be a little bit rough right now with the economy and stuff. I don't know, and people. There's a high. It seems rough, but it really isn't. The only The only worst thing that's happening now is that COVID, that new variant, Delta. I'm not saying the economy and the job market is going to tank. Everybody, on YouTube, they making these doom and gloom videos. Oh, the stock market going to tank. Oh, the housing market's going to bust. Oh, the bubble's going to break. All this. Everybody talk about something going to bust, break. We're going to be in this. It's going to be rent moratorium. I mean, maybe so. I don't know. I can't worry or think about the housing bust, the bubble bust, the real estate bust, because most money was made 2000, No, 2000, 2008, 9, 1988 or 87, whatever. When you think about all the years when we've been an economic disaster, most money was made. Now, I don't too much. Oh, here's somebody else call me back. Let me see. Hold on a second. Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. But anyway, so what was I saying? What was I saying? Oh, okay. So the years that they had all these disasters and stuff that happened, 1988, something like that, 2000 and 2008, 9. See, I bought my house in 2009. I've been in my house going on 12 years. Matter of fact, it was 12 years anniversary was just passed a couple days ago. Because on my YouTube, on my Facebook, I have moved into my new house, and on my stream it popped up 12 years ago today. And I was like, right here, right around August, a couple days ago, I moved into this house. And that was an economic real estate bust, bubble, whatever you want to call it. And I bought my house then. Now, sometimes I do have buyer's remorse about moving here because, you know, it was just too much for me. Even now, in terms of space, I'm happy I bought my home, but, now it's time for me to do a lot of upgrades and stuff like that. I've been doing that for the last few years, but now, um, I'm trying to come up with a plan and decide if I'm going to live in this house throughout the whole time, or just pay this house off in full, or just get the equity and buy something else. Not like a house. I want to buy something more like a townhome, something smaller, because it's really too much for me. So I have a lot of decisions I need to make. If I'm just going to rent it out, be a good thing as a rental investment, and then move into a townhome. So that's where I'm leaning at. It's either, I need to do some fixing up in this house, and do a rental, and just get the rental income, and then move somewhere that's smaller, like a townhome. Nothing. I don't want to maintain grass and cut grass and all that. I don't want to do that no more. Not that I've been cutting grass on a regular basis, but I just don't want to all the upkeep of a house and all this space, and I'm getting older. You know, it doesn't really serve my need. And to be honest, when I first bought this home, that was my intentions, was to be that this house was going to be in a real estate investment, but I had to live here for 5 years because I had a grant. I'm always getting these grants. I had this $8,000 grant for first time home buyers. I didn't have to pay it back like the other one. Yeah, I remember you from Stereo. Love Bella. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe so you can get notified when I'm online. So when I bought this house, that last economic downturn everybody was talking about. And the man who lived in this house initially, he lost his job at Kraft because I found his paperwork. I still get his mail occasionally. And he was going through a depression of losing his job, and they said he was depressed. They said that they had to, the neighbor next door on each side of me, they knew him, and they would, he would sit on the couch depressed. He had garbage in the house up to the yin yang. And then when he finally lost the house, all the stuff was on the street. They had no blinds in this house. Whoever, before they took the house over, people stole the damn blinds out this house, stole the appliances, except for that broken washing machine, which I still got. Um, some white man bought this house for like 89,000. And he put in new siding. He didn't did much upgrades. He did a little something, and I bought it for like 117. The house appraised for 130 at the time, 12 years ago. I said, "Oh, this house is appraised at 130, as is, as the." So between now and between then and now, I had put a brand new roof, brand new garage, brand new windows, all 22 windows. Brand new door, entry door. So, and I haven't done no major renovations. I mean, those were the renovations I done, but not major, like in terms of like gutted the bathrooms and the kitchen and everything else. But I worked little by little, even though I could have got better people to do it. That's why I'm so apprehensive of finding people now to do things. And that's why I say, you know what? I'm gonna try to learn to do things myself. Not plumbing, not electric. I ain't talking about major stuff like that. So either now when I looked it up, the house is valued at $220,000. One point, if I do real upgrades, it's valued at 240. And even if the real estate market goes down a little bit, I made double than what I paid for. But see, that was when you buy something when it downturn. Now I ain't making no suggestions to people say, oh, because there are a lot of people that say, I want to buy a house, and I keep telling them, I said, no, it ain't as easy like it was before, because it's so many people moving from California and New York and all over the place for whatever reasons, moving into Atlanta. Atlanta's really not what it used to be in terms of moving. If I had to say when I moved to Atlanta, I would say no. I would say no. I speak to a lot of people, younger people that's like, oh, I'm gonna buy me a house. I want one built. I said, you can't. I said, you know how hard it is to find someone now to build anything? They're not even building houses. At one point, 2 years, 3 years ago, you drive around Atlanta, it was building all over the place. They were building all these apartment buildings. They were building all these houses. I drive right today. I was driving to Tucker. I saw all this land clearing, and I guess they was building some townhomes or building something. I don't know I think there's more like apartments. But then the minute I see things cleared, I don't see nothing built. I said, this dirt been here for a minute. So people may be buying land, but they're not building anything. And they may have bought it at a cheap price, hoping that things will turn around. But a lot of things that I've seen being built is it's kind of scary. I don't know. I will wait. Like I told when I first thought about buying a home, I said, no, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to buy nothing back in 2008. I said, no, I'm going to wait for a year. And I said, let me wait because the market going to take a tank. It's going to go down lower. And that's what I did. I waited. And it did go down. Now, it probably would have gone down lower if I had waited. But at that point, people made money when it was a downturn. But that's why all these big companies are buying the whole subdivisions, the whole houses. They call me every goddamn day. They used to call me to death. Text, call, text message, RoboCop. It's a website for neighborhoods. People were complaining about getting calls. People around in the subdivision, they were getting calls. You want to buy your house? You want to sell your house? You want to buy your house? You want to sell? Because they wasn't interested in, because they were looking for people to have someplace. They were looking for people for houses because they weren't building anymore, and there's a shortage. There's a shortage, and then all these people, when that rent moratorium thing ends in September, see, they extended it, but the Biden administration doesn't have any legal claims, or the CDC. The Supreme Court already ruled that the CDC should not have interfered in putting that rent moratorium in process. Now, people try to give a couple of months of time, but how much time do you need? If you was already a year and 7 months, year two, almost gone, a year and 9 months behind rent, They're not gonna cancel no damn rent. People on these social media cancel rent. Really? Y'all better sit your stupid ass down with those damn ass signs. Cancel rent. How you gonna cancel rent? You live there for free, and you talking about cancel rent. You know that didn't make no dumb sense to me because I ain't trying to be mean, but a lot of people who were in those predicaments had got $600 initially, plus regular unemployment, plus food stamps, plus whatever, all these months. And if they had children, people say, "What about the children? What about them? Ain't nobody forced y'all to have kids that you can't provide and support." And and if you had kids, you had extra. You also got the 3,000 per child plus 3,200 or whatever it was. Plus you had all that. No, I'm sorry. And this is for you staying at home. Home. I'm sorry. I can't walk into any agency saying, "Oh, I lost my job. I need help. And I paid millions and millions of taxes throughout my lifetime. Work. And then if I needed assistance, we can't help you." Click. But here comes Shaniqua and Annette and Karen, and I ain't just directed towards white or black. You come here with some of these women with all these kids, and they get everything under the world. Everything. You know, you got everything. Ain't work, you know, and you got everything under the world. Food stamps, housing vouchers, child care vouchers, all these stuff is given. So all this time that people was when we was on lockdown, people was sitting on their ass and they ain't paying not a dime or nickel in rent. And then they gotta do a GoFundMe. GoFundMe. No. I'm not being bitch and I ain't being mean about it, but come on. There's a difference between a hand up than a hand out. Or however that damn expression goes. And some people they afraid to talk about that. They afraid to bring it. They be like, "Hey, about the grandkid? What about the children?" If you especially had children, you would be a little bit more extra to take care of it. You know, and that's why these Republicans and so many people in these big states talking about, they didn't want to pass this and they want because it's true. How much handouts can you get? Let me tell you, the people who benefit the most is either one, you either have to be poor, dirt poor with nothing, or super rich. People in the middle, you work 2, 3 jobs, go to school. Then the minute something happens, if I get a hiccup, I can't even get not a nickel. I barely got those damn food stamps a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Barely. I had to sit there. Y'all remember when I did that video, I did live stream and had that big fat guy, he was busting out of his pants. Shelly Shell, you call him Juicy. And I said, "Look at here, y'all. Look what I got to deal with." And I showed her that ratchetness at the food stamp office. Man, crazy. Just plain crazy. Here it is. I pay taxes and, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in taxes and everything else. And then the minute I needed assistance and I ain't asked for, you had to go through damn loops. Now we can't help you. No, you got a degree. No, you can't go to free. And these was federal programs. Federal programs given to the state. And you telling me that I can't get additional training for an obsolete degree? Well, you can find a job. Yeah, I can find a job, but I'm not looking for a job. I'm looking for advancement in career. They didn't say nothing on this thing saying that you can't be a college graduate or have a degree to get this training. They didn't say nothing in the specifications. And they knew I was right when I sat there and it escalated and made my complaint. And at that point, I said, and trust me, I fought that. I sure did. Now, here it is. 4 years later, almost 5 years later, those same people at that damn Jordan Road, the Cobb County Department of Labor, ain't nobody working there. Nobody. You can't even go to the Department of Labor because everybody, I don't know if they're working from home or whatever the case may be. You think I trust the state? You think I trust the state that's going to get all this billions of dollars in federal funding to fix bridges and roads, and you need to hire people to do those things? Hmm. That money gonna be squandered, and that's what. And see, you have to understand. People be talking about, the Republicans. And I'm not a Republican, so don't be thinking, you for Bush, not Bush. you for Trump. You're a Republican. Trump ain't no damn Republican, and Trump ain't no damn Democrat. Trump is a businessman. Regardless of what you think, Trump is about money. My mother said she said she'll vote for Trump as long as he fix her taxes or make her not pay as much taxes. My mother pay a lot of money in taxes. But she was, she ain't got no advantage of none of these stimulus money. None. Now, I'm not saying I came from a millionaire family, or I'm saying that I came from money, because I didn't. I came from a working class family for years. My great-grandparents, grandparents, they worked. They ain't had living on no damn government assistance, welfare, and looking for a handout and all that crap. No. And I wasn't expecting to. See, I could have sat her on my butt right now and got unemployment if I wanted to do it. But nope, I said, nope, I'm going to work I'm going to get me the job at Amazon. I could have got that stimulus. I could have got that $600 last year plus the $300 after that, after leaving Domino's, because technically, I think maybe a few weeks later, that's when that shutdown started happening. And I could have went there and said, I was working at Domino's, and I could have went to apply. I said, nope, I will wait and find me another job. And I found me something. And it wasn't paying more than people were getting from that either. I could have got the $600 per week plus the $300 something dollars at the state of Georgia. I would have made more money doing that. But I said, no, I'm going to work. And I worked from home. And I was like, and I was the first one who mentioned it, that when I first gave that out, I said, man, don't you know that you get more money getting that and unemployment than going to work? I said that from the get-go, way before they started talking about it on the news. When that first CARES Act came out, I said, what? $600 a week? Y'all remember I did a video? I talked about that. I said, you could get more money doing that. Now, I don't know if I would have taken advantage of doing that, because to me, I would have got too antsy, because I was like, what about the taxes? Then after that, they said the first $12,500 was non-tax and all that stuff. And I was like, I just couldn't. Because you go into a thing of being relying on the government. I said, nah, I can't do that. There ain't no way. Ain't no way I could have just sat on my butt and do that. But there were people who did it. There were people who were doing it. Hang on the system. I told you about that previous coworker at Wipro, the one I took in temporary, had no place to go. There was another one. She lived in Section 8 housing, and she worked just enough just to continue to get housing. She's 30-something years old, living downtown, straight Atlanta downtown, living Section 8 housing. Now, I haven't spoken to Sabria in a minute, so I don't know what she's up to, but I think after a while, you have to keep certifying for Section 8 in those apartments. You just can't stay there and that's it. You have to be doing something. And, I mean, come on, people. How long can you hang on to that stuff? You ain't got no pride, These places don't give a damn about it. That Section 8 housing, when I moved to Atlanta in 1996 on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and they had all those housing down projects, Perry Homes, and what's the other ones? That's where Atlantic Station is now. What's the other one there? Grant Park. That was some housing projects. I used to take the bus. I used to live downtown Atlanta. I didn't live in downtown Atlanta. I lived in Grant Park. Not Grant Park. Where did I live at? I lived in Grant Park in East Atlanta. But I lived right around there when I first moved to Atlanta. And I used to take the bus. I ain't had no car. And I used to drive by those projects and people be sitting on their stoop. Just sitting on the stoop. I said, why do people just sitting on the damn stoop? Outside, it was the projects. Now, those same projects that used to be there, those are like gentrification came through, knocked down those projects. I wish I had a camera at the time. I would have took a picture of it or filmed it because it is so different now. Those Grady homes, Perry homes, I just mentioned it. All those housing projects used to be right down in Atlanta. They tore that shit down. And that's when the Olympics came and they cleaned up. They put all those black folks. How do you think DeKalb County became raggedy? All those black folks lived up there in downtown Atlanta. They shipped them straight out of and moved into DeKalb County, Memorial Drive, south side of town, all up on Jonesboro, College Park, all in the south. When they moved them way out in the suburbs, now look like Ghettoville. Just like most places across the United States. They shipped all those black folks up in the suburbs. And that's how and that white flight. When they started shipping out those black folks up in those projects, those white folks bought up those houses and those properties up and down Moreland Avenue and all downtown Atlanta, and it was cheap. They just snatched up those properties. And boy, and I said it then. When I moved there, I said, man, I want to buy something. And I didn't even pull the trigger. I didn't even pull the trigger because I had just moved to Atlanta, and I said it then. But no, my slow behind didn't take advantage. That's why I took advantage of this opportunity when I moved to right now. 2000 when I bought this house, I didn't want to live in a posh. I could have easily lived in one of upscale, whatever. I said no, get me something real cheap, something that that I'm gonna know. There's going to be an investment for 5-10 years. I didn't know 10 years go by quick. 10-12 years went by quick. I said, nope, let me buy this house right here. I said, something going to come up with this. I could go down 78, go straight down 78. In 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes the most, I'll be straight downtown. I could literally take 78, go straight down, go be in Decatur, going straight, I'll be right downtown, midtown. I said, with all these people moving in these high prices and 400,000, 500,000, 700,000, 900,000, I said, I'll move in this little area. I said, everything works in everything comes around. Now, with the corona, everybody don't want to live in town. Everybody wants space. Everybody moving to the suburbs. Everybody want to move where there's land. And with technology, you can work from home. You don't even have to be in the mix of everything. So I said, you know what? They gonna want back Stone Mountain, and trust me, all these little surrounding areas, all these little things, they changing Atlanta. They pushing black folks out of Atlanta and the surrounding areas. I'll tell you that. I'm gonna surely tell you that. And I'll be sitting around looking out the window, and I'll be like, where these white folks come driving up the street, driving up there. I'll be like, where they come? Even when I go to Publix, I was like, wait a minute. It don't take that. It don't take a whole lot. Now, I'm not saying because there's some places in Atlanta, Pittsburgh, they want to gentrify that area. I was reading something the other day, and I was like, Pittsburgh, where's that at? And I looked, I said, wait a minute, that's right up there, right before you get to Chamblee. And I was driving through there, and it was like, places they just buying up stuff, tearing things down. Buckhead, I heard, I read the other thing the other day. They said Buckhead want to become its own city. They want to break away from Atlanta, so they didn't even want to be Atlanta. Just like Stonecrest wanted to be its own city. Everybody want to break off from counties and break off and become its own town and city and everything else. So, it is what it is, and it's like that in South Carolina. And I haven't gone to a lot of places across the country, but I don't know. I think a lot of black folks they picking up moving to damn Arizona. My cousin moved to Arizona, his wife, and some people moving. They moving to the West Coast. I don't know why. I don't know. Is Arizona, Nevada, Las Vegas? People moving to those cities in the West. But with all the weather changes, I don't know. Me personally, I'm gonna give myself a few more years and I'll go to South Carolina. There's one thing about keeping land in the family, keeping my heritage, is that I know my mother said you can never say you ain't got no place to go. And my parents rather, they worked real hard, particularly my mother. They worked real hard. We grew up in the Bronx. Now I didn't grow in the South Bronx or nothing like that. We lived across the street from the projects, but we didn't live in the projects. But we lived across the street from the projects right before my mother sold that house. You know, it's about pride. Stop sitting on your ass waiting for the government to support you and bail you out. You keep waiting on that. And if you think Biden Harris administration could do anything better, nope. Nope. He said all that promises about, oh, I'm gonna forgive student loan debt. We'll forgive that. Man, you see how he just suckered people into that? I was like, good, about time. I said, shoot, they need to forgive at least $50,000 of these student loans I got. You know, I've been paying the thing forever. I stopped paying because I'm on this income deferment thing. But shoot, I always said, shoot, I'll finish paying off my house before I finish paying off this damn student loans, unless I come across one big lump sum of money somehow. Then I'll knock that off. But that's why I'm trying to stay at Amazon as long as I can in order for me to go and get that training. But in the meantime, when that thing comes, when my 1 year come around, I'll be able to be prepared and learn some skills so I could get into that cybersecurity program, because you have to, they say no experience necessary, but I'm trying to learn and get my foot in the door and get my experience, try to learn multiple things. That's why one thing is I'm gonna learn, I already learned taxes and stuff, but just keep up and have something to fall back on. Run my business, my tax business. Um, Branch out from this channel because I'm going to work on my other channel, which I do. I have another channel, but I haven't been on that. And I'm just going to brand myself and do different programs and different guides. I'm going to learn how to do that. I mean, I could do it, but I want to learn how to do it digital. You know, I'm tired of giving out free advice all the time. Free advice all the time. And I've been, at first I was doing it, but I said, no, there's people who haven't even have no expertise. They be making up stuff. I look at their channel, I'll be like, okay, y'all just made that up and y'all ain't have, and it's not like I don't know the people. I do know some of these people. I say, they didn't even have no background and nothing. They just regurgitating what somebody else said. They'll take what you said. I know this one girl, she used to always be makeup all the time. Every time she was doing makeup on her face. And I haven't seen her lately. They're in that B sector. Her name is April. I would talk and mention things. This bitch will turn around and do a YouTube channel and talk about the same thing I just talked about and just regurgitate everything what I said and make it her own. Like she said. That's why I was, that's why I really kind of stopped doing that on this channel, because people were not referencing where they got the information from. At least if I mention something or talk about something, I'm going to reference to this where I got it from. I'm not just going to be talking this to be talking. And I always have a person, people say things, and I was like, no, that's not true. No, that's not right. And I ain't got time to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. That's okay, whatever. But I don't know. I know I went on a tangent because I was going to talk about the SBA and the PPP grant. But anyway, if you need any further questions, and the person who sent me a message about it, I did respond back in the email. And let me see. Make sure. Let me go back. I'm trying to go back to the. I don't like this one thing I don't like about let me see. Call me to my. Oh, I'm gonna write up send a message. Okay, I sent a message. So, that's all I gotta say. Regardless what happens, with all this, you know, virus and bubble bust of the economy and all that kind of things, you can't focus and worry on things like that to happen. Because you have to think about it, what we're going through now, that's just temporary. And 3, 4 years, 5 years from now, it's gonna be things will be different. Things gonna be, it'll be look at this way. If it goes down, it can only go what is it? Go back up again. I have these little investments I bought, and I went and bought me some Robinhood. I bought some Robinhood stock because they went public 2 weeks ago, right? So I bought me some Robinhood stock, and I also downloaded the app, and I bought GoPro, Bank of America, and they gave me one free stock of this company called Agent, one share. Man, let me tell you. And I did buy some other things. The S&P 500, I bought that today, so they're going to purchase some more tomorrow. Now, unfortunately, it did go down a little bit, but that's all right. That's okay. Two of the stocks that I bought, it went up. It's going up. I bought GoPro. You know that little thing people making film? I bought that thing at $20. The thing was 20. How much that thing was? It was real low. It wasn't that much. But for some reason, I bought it because it was cheap. But it did went up though. For the time I bought it a few days ago, it went up. Then it dropped down a little bit. But it's gone up a little bit. And then I bought Bank of America because I have an account with Bank of America, and that went up. That's still going up, $41.97 a share. I bought it when it was a few dollars. I bought two shares of that, and then that went up too. Okay. Well, I'm gonna keep it for a minute, but that's on the Robinhood app. But on the Cash app, where I did some trading on that one as well. That's another platform that I used. I bought Bitcoin at first, and then was losing money, so I sold it a few weeks ago. Then I bought me some more. Then I bought the Bitcoin today, $20 a Bitcoin. No big deal. But already it made $4.26 in the last few minutes. And then as for the stock, I did buy me some more investments. So that was $32.40 gain. But from that, I bought me the Robinhood stock last week because it's only been around for 2 weeks. So I bought that. And then it went up really good. And then it went down a little bit. But that's okay. I went and bought me the Amc Entertainment. That thing blew up. When I bought this a couple months ago, it was real cheap. And then it exploded. It was like, oh my goodness, I almost made about $60 from that stock. And then you factor in the other ones I had. I went and bought the S&P Gold Trust, EFT. EFT is basically a combination of various stocks and funds. I bought some that's going to be bought tomorrow. So it's been going up and down. I ain't put a whole lot of money. I ain't got like thousands and thousands of dollars in these two now. I can tell you my thrift account with my, which is like a 401k for the government, that I've been invested over 10 years. And that one has grown to tens of thousands. So by the time I retire or get to that age where I get to withdraw, that's going to be a good funded 401k, regardless what the market does now. Like I said, it may go down some, but but think about it. 2-3 years from now, 4 or 5 years, we're going to go back and be like, they're going to write this in history books about this economy and the virus and this, that, or whatever. Warren Buffett and all these billionaires, they making money during this time of situations. They not, but think about it. Their things may go down, but trust me, what is it? You buy things when it's cheap. You buy things when it's in a downturn. Now, only thing, like I said, with real estate, people may have a hard time buying something because these big hedge fund companies are buying them up. Everybody want to run to Texas and Austin and stuff, and they trying to buy a house, and they get pushed out from buying because people put a house on the market. It'll be on the market for like 3 days, and somebody already bought it. People buying houses sight unseen. So I don't always listen to say, oh, it's gonna be a buzz. It's gonna be a buzz. The real estate it's gonna drop down. It may, but it ain't. But you have to look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. A lot of people moving, with the climate change and all these food shortages and all this stuff going. See, a lot of people, even in other countries, they may not be able to live in their countries anymore. So they're going to move to more desirable places. Everybody, so you got to think about the migration. People moving from California and they moving from all those countries because of lack of resources, fires and stuff, and people crowding, cities and towns. People want to move in smaller towns. That's why I said I'm gonna keep my little area up in Stone Mountain because people gonna come back. I said, oh, white folks gonna come back. They gonna come back, trust me. And people coming back too. Everybody ain't want to live in the city and be all up on top of each other. They don't. So, and besides, a home should never be an investment anyway. And a home is always having land property has always been a necessity, put it that way. Always. When I think about my great grandparents and, you know, that little house up the road in South Carolina and all the land, my grandfather, after they came from the war and the land they bought, you know, in all these years, they still have it. We still have it in the family. They wasn't looking at, oh, let me flip this house. We weren't doing stuff like that. We weren't doing that. House was something to pass along to the next generation, to the next people to live. And the only reason why I'm not, I don't say I won't stay in this house. I will stay here for a minute. I don't have any children. I don't have anyone to give this, to pass along or whatever, you know? So that's my reason. If I had children, trust me, if I had kids or whatever the case may be, yeah, this is something I probably pass along or whatever. But because I don't, and I don't really want to stay in Georgia not for too long. I don't want to stay here for too long. I'll keep it as something, um, as a commodity, an asset. And when it's time for me to go, it's time to go. What I mean by that is, I pass along in the state of Georgia is real simple. Whoever's the next of kin, my mother, if she's not alive at the time, then it go to my sister. And then if not, go down to my nephew. If not, you'll just go back, it gets to a certain point where I want to move and live somewhere more. Not so much. Not so much. And I'll just move on to the next, I'll move somewhere where I know that, like I said, I know I have always got a place to live. If I wanted to go back to South Carolina, not to live with my mother or live with my grandparents, but I could always downsize to something else. You know, my mother was talking about downsizing in the house she lives in right now. And she was telling me about these townhomes. It was like $70,000 or something like that. Some new one she was seeing. And she was talking about downsizing in the house she lives in that she bought 5 years ago that's almost paid off again. I was like, God dang. But that's in her right to do so. You know, that's in her right to do so. But it makes sense. It does. It really do. And to me, I don't need all this. I really don't. I wanted to have some housemates, but with this coronavirus going on, I don't know. I don't think I'll do that now. And I don't know. My uncle, he wanted to move to Atlanta, but he ain't say nothing. So, but I don't know. I need to call him and see what he's up to. But anyways, I ain't got much to say now. I'll go to work tomorrow night at Amazon. And one last thing, and then I'll go. I was hearing something on the radio today. It was on a gospel radio station. They were saying there was a McDonald's in West Georgia that was paying $31 an hour. I said, ain't no way. Ain't no way in hell a McDonald's paying someone $31 an hour. Ain't that damn desperate. I said, that must have been a joke. They must have got the numbers screwed up. But they were talking about that on the radio. Said if you was getting paid $31 an hour at McDonald's, how would you be? How would your customer service be? You should have heard some of those dang fools calling in the radio station talking about welcome to McDonald's, and I'd be glad to help. I said, y'all fake as hell. Ain't no way people be saying all of that, acting like all of a sudden, I was saying Welcome to McDonald's. Welcome. This and I was like, so I was like, Darlene McCoy, she must, they must have gotten us somewhere. But that was the chat they was talking about on the radio at the gospel radio station. And I said, there ain't no way. No McDonald's paying no $31 an hour to work at no McDonald's. Not that. I mean, how much the food gonna be? If you're gonna pay someone, the whole staff, $31 an hour, how you gonna, you must gonna charge $20 for a Big Mac? Because ain't no way you're gonna pay McDonald's paying that. So I said, there ain't no way. They must be that must be a typo. So we'll see. If it's online, if you hear about it on CNN about McDonald's paying $31 an hour, they must be talking about 13. There had to be somebody who typed that in out of spite and wrote and sent that in, and the numbers got turned around. Now I could see $13 an hour, but not no $31 an hour. But if I hear McDonald's paying, if McDonald's was to pay, and I'm gonna talk about this another live stream again, and we could talk about it, and y'all could participate, and y'all could think about it. So when I come back on Sunday, y'all let me know. We could talk about it. If a fast food place was paying, say, $16 an hour and up, I'm not talking about being a manager. I'm not talking about being an assistant manager. I'm not talking about being the person who does the fixing up and technical things. I'm talking about regular old. Hey, Tyson, if you late, but I'm about to go in a minute. You got to catch the replay. If McDonald's was paying, say, $16 and up with your work at McDonald's, because I don't believe a McDonald's in West Georgia was paying $31 an hour. That got to be a typo. Ain't no way in hell would y'all do it. I mean, that's a dumb question because most people would probably work if they was paying $31 an hour. Shoot, I work at McDonald's. I go right. I will be no shame in my game. And McDonald's said they was paying $17, $18 just to go there and flip some burgers and take people orders. I would do it. I sure would. If they have benefits and stuff, yep, sure would go there. I sure would. I would do it because I work at Amazon. They pay $18, but that's because you're working overnight into the weekend. That's the only reason. But shoot, let me hear somebody saying they paying that. Man, I'll be like, I'll be right there at that McDonald's too. Sure would. Even if they said 20 something dollars an hour. If they said $18, $19, $20, I would do it too. I sure would. I will be right there. Well, anyway, Tyson, you late. You are late. You missed it. But these people want will companies fast food pay people like that? I don't think so. I think if they was to pay wages that high, if they was to pay people that much wage that high, I would say a lot of people would be part-time. I don't think they would I don't think they well, to be late is to be on time, but in this case, you're late. And I'm gonna give 2 more minutes. There is nothing I read on Google about McDonald's paying no damn $31 an hour in West Georgia. There must have been a typo. Yeah, I don't see it. It must have been a joke. It must have been a joke. Ain't no way. I would have I would have saw that on CNN somewhere, and that would have blew up the internet if they was doing that. Shoot. But anyway, if you want to catch the beginning part of the difference, you could play to the beginning. Everything else after that, I'm just talking about different stuff. So the whole video, which is an hour 47 minutes, is not talking about the PPP and the grants. I would say the first 45 minutes I may have talked about it, and then after that I just went on to a whole new tangent about something else. All right, then I guess you got to throw yourself on the floor, Tyson, because I'm about to end this. This is 12. It's 12:19 a.m. midnight, and I got to work tomorrow night, so I won't be back on until um, Sunday, Sunday evening. Once I wake up and rest, be fully rested, because 3 days in a row working like that, unless they give PTO or whatever, I don't know what's going to happen with Amazon. If they don't have that truck come in and it's shipping delays and they offer PTO, I'll take it again. Sure would. But I gotta go to bed. I gotta get up in the morning. So put your notification on. So when I'm on, y'all don't have to come all an hour and a half late, Tyson. All in the cut. I knew you was probably on here, been on here, because it was 6, 7 people, but only 3 people. What, DeJour, you, Atlanta Food Star, Love Bella. Who else on here? Everybody else is lurking in the background, listening. Oh, look at you trying to sweet talk somebody. Well, I need my rest. Trust me, I need my rest. Oof. Even though I've been resting all day until this evening, I did do a few of my assignments. Some of those mystery shop, I let it go. I just like, I'm ready to go home. Oh, and I did go on to see, I'm still talking. Okay, I'm gonna go to 12:30, so 9 minutes. I'm gonna put 9 more minutes on here, and that's it. Now it's 8 minutes. So when it gets to 12:30 a.m., I'm out. So I did go on Drive CEO Drive Her. I did go on her video after one of y'all told me. I did listen to it, and it was so long. I listened to half of it, and then I went to the previous 2 weeks prior to her being in the hospital to listen to that. And put it this way, it was quite interesting because I don't know. I don't know what to say, because I'm not a religious person. Not to say that she's a religious person, because a lot of people like to call it something else. I don't know what they call it, prophet, or I don't know. It's all I know is this: God gives you wisdom. God gives you some people discernment and common sense and goodwill. Is it goodwill I'm looking for? Choices, that you have a choice, and sometimes faith without works is dead. You can't pray this virus thing away. You can't say, Well, I'm not going to take it, and the blood is going to cover it. The blood of Jesus is going to cover me, and this and that. God give people common. God give you common sense. I'm not talking about people who, whatever reason, they say I don't believe the science, and and you know God gonna protect me, blah blah blah. Yeah, but at the same time, you can't say, "Oh, God protect me." If you went on top of a building and you say, "You know what? I'm gonna jump from this building because I know God's gonna save me." God ain't gonna. You are not gonna be lifted off the air, suddenly float across the air, and God will suddenly um, rescue you if you choose to jump over a building. Now, you may jump on a building and say you may survive the injury if you were to fall, depending on how far it is and what is underground and things like that. But if you were to say, you know what, I'm going to jump from the World Trade Center and I'm going to jump out of this window for 100 stories down. Because I used to, I've been in the World Trade Center before. I've been to offices in there. And trust me, when I be looking out the window, and I was like, oh my God. And then when I saw that film, and they were showing people who were jumping out the window in that World Trade Center, and they were showing people, I think that thing gave me PTSD, and so I couldn't even watch it anymore. I just couldn't. And those people jumped out of that window. They knew whatever God they believed in, and whatever things they had to, they knew they were going to meet their maker. They may have said, God, forgive me, blah, blah, blah. Before they jumped out their window, they knew they wasn't going to survive. Even if you was on the 25th floor, whatever. Unless you was on the first floor, you jumped out that window. But if you was on 50, 100, 200, whatever, and now people jumped out their window, they knew right then and there they was going to make their maker. So there was no way you could, when people say, oh, God going to deliver me, and, I'm just going to walk out there with nothing on my face. I'm not going to take the vaccine. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do. See, God gave people wisdom to make those vaccines. And everything that was made in those vaccines, I don't know how they make it, but everything that was made from those vaccines came from the earth. God made things from the earth. Any chemical stuff people make, anything of your thoughts that you made in your mind, that came from whatever you may believe in. Even if you don't believe it, God gave you wisdom. God gave people wisdom, or the higher powers, or whatever you want to make of it. Gave you the knowledge to do it, to make it. So there are those who bring in biblical things and make statements, but they don't do the work themselves. God says just give them a little mustard seed, a little mustard seed. They just do it, just start something. But if you try, you go, just try. But I find that a lot of people, they do these things. Yeah. Why you want to end up in the hospital when you really didn't have to? A lot of the people I've been watching on CNN and all these news things, they was in there. I wish I took it. I should have took it. I could have did it. I'm sorry, and it's all my fault. Yeah, it is your fault. It is your fault. Especially if you have children. Especially if you have family members. It's different if you took the vaccine and you did everything and to prevent yourself from not spreading it to others and say you get sick. But most people who said that they got sick, there's a difference between I would argue with somebody. I said, it didn't say you would not get the virus if you don't take it, but it just says that the severity of you not taking it could be brutal. You have underlying conditions, you have issues. Me, I'm diabetic. I just have high blood pressure. I took the vaccine. I still wear a mask. Matter of fact, started Monday, Amazon required all employees to have a mask when they come in that building. Now everybody got to wear a mask. The last day was today. They was giving out the free vaccine test if you didn't get it. So a lot of these places and companies are requiring employees, especially if you have to come into a building or whatever, they're going to ask that you take it. And if you don't want to take it, you say, okay, well, you could quit. You know, all this bickering and fussing and carrying on about a mask. I'm like, really? We really arguing about choices of wearing a mask. I understand if you want to argue about people not taking the vaccine, that's fine and dandy. That's your right. But if you get sick and you go to the hospital, don't talk about I'm gonna let me do a GoFundMe. No, Teresa's not giving nobody no money for GoFundMe, especially if you were the one walking around talking about I ain't taking no vaccine, I ain't gonna do it. And then there's some dumb lady on the thing on CNN. What does President Obama's birthday, 60th birthday party, got to do with you? This bitch had a big ass sign about President Obama. You know, you went straight from attacking President Obama having his birthday party in Martha's Vineyard in his private home about he ain't wearing no mask. That's why he put it out there. He didn't want nobody to take no pictures and put it in no social media. And there was some of them got invited. They had to delete it. But somehow or another, there's some foolish people. He ain't had no mask on. He did, I'm like, he ain't had a whole bunch of people at that birthday party he had anyway. They say he scaled that thing down to, I don't know how many people, but it was scaled down to the point where he was like, nope, he still had it, but it wasn't like no big extravagant thing. And how you gonna go with him? They say, you gonna skip over what Trump said, the Florida governor, and this was in Florida. This lady had this sign up. I said, what? You ain't had nothing to say about what Trump and Obama? You see, people say they use their stupid racist Karens and Kens talking crazy. President Obama. I mean, what the fuck they have to do with anything? Dumbass. It's dumb. I would be, I hate to say it. Some people need to hurry up. Hurry up and make their maker the devil. Because you're talking stupid and you're talking retarded. People will still, this dang virus don't care. They don't know if you worth millions of dollars or worth 2 pennies. They don't care if you're Democrat, Republican. They don't care if you live in the suburbs or whatever, or your race. They're going to come and get you. Use your common sense. I was walking around today doing my little assignments, and I've seen these old people. I've seen some white folks walking in the Lowe's. They ain't had no mask on their face. I was in what the Kroger? I went to a few of these places. They ain't walking in no mask on, no nothing. And I don't know. I know I ain't gonna say I always wear mine every time I go to certain places, but sometimes I'll be most of the time I'm wearing my mask. When I'm out and about and I go into a store, I have my mask on. And then when I walk out there, the mask be popping. I say, oh shoot, the thing popped off. If they have somebody standing at the door, they giving out masks. I said, can I get a mask because mine's broke? Or I would change out my mask, especially those blue masks. I try to change that out. Every time I go into another different building, I'll be like, ooh, I said, "Let me get me a." If they got one up in the front when I go to Target, sometimes I'll be throwing out the mask I wore on my face. I said, "Ooh, maybe change this one and put me a brand new one on." But I am not up on no people. I'm not all up on people. I go in places. I'm in and out. Space. You know. And I've been going to the store lately, but it be so late in the evening, ain't nobody in there. I went to Kroger last night. I walked in there. It was like after 11ish or after 10 o'clock or so. When I went in there, I said, "Ooh, ain't nobody in this store." And I don't try to go up in the whole crowd and all this stuff. And nope, sure don't. And at Amazon, they got the cafeteria, they got the break room and the cafeteria. Every desk or every chair, they got like those shield behind. It's like coverings. It's like everybody just the next person next to you. You got a glass separating each person. Everybody got a glass separating them. So I'm sitting there. There's a glass between me and the person on either side of me. You know, I don't understand why it's so hard. Why you argue about wearing a mask? And then it's like, it should be the points that the parents with the child to be, wear a mask. I don't understand it. We don't want to mandate. What is? How can you politicize that? If they never had ended the thing so early, and they had that shut down like they said they were going to have. I told y'all, I said, this thing ain't gonna be, this thing gonna, I said, a year, you're gonna say, everybody gonna open up in less than a year. I said, it's gonna take at least 2 years. They should at least did it a year and a half, or at least until maybe had to shut down until over a year, slowly open things up. Now, okay, we're gonna open everything up. Texas was the first one. No, Florida. Florida and Texas was the first two opened up. They've been talking about this dang Delta variant last year. They mentioned that. They said there's a new variant that's migrating called, the Delta is, and this was when it was. This was last year. They didn't talk about it this year. It was last year they mentioned about it. They was mentioning it, saying it was some new variant thing that was out there. It was in China. Then it was up in India. Had those people dying in India of that new variant. They was, they know. Yeah, it was. They said it started in England and India and China. Some new variant. Man. Now here it is in the United States. I find it amazing. You see how people from India and China, they got money, you know, all this stuff becoming India and China. How all of a sudden, I bet you that thing came out of Africa or some other Caribbean black island and stuff, and it came out there, they would never let nobody from these countries come in the United States or England or in Europe. They would have never had people come from those countries. If it was started from African black folks, Africans, they were like, "Oh no, we shutting down. Nope, you can't come. Nope." They would have had it closed down, shut down. But see, China and India, see, a lot of them live in England and stuff. Those, India used to be like an English colony, not colony, what they call it, province, whatever they called it. They still had those trading agreements with England and people coming back and forth, back and forth. India, I'm not talking about the poor part of India. Nope. They had no problems, none. Those things was coming rampant, and they was like, "Oh, isn't it? How did it come to the United States?" Now, the first time you may not be able to figure it out. You still do. People still debating about it. Still going, calling Fauci a liar, and everybody saying he's false and that's not true. How did the Delta came to the United States? What about that? How did that come? They've been talking about that last year about the mutation of coming about, and they mentioned it. They even said it. They think had that thing under control when it was in other countries, and it was a very few cases last year. Very few cases. Oh, we're gonna open up. We're gonna open up the beach. We're gonna open up. Why Florida got the highest? Highest. It came out of Florida, Texas. Just think about it. Louisiana got one of the highest cases of all. It ain't that far. It's right between Florida and damn Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, all those places. Mm-mm. And all because of what? Greed. Greed of money. We need to be open. We need people losing money. You'll be losing way more than that. When they were talking about climate change, and I'm gonna get up the top. I'm supposed to been off this chat. Just like the climate change and everything else, all these food shortages and all the all this stuff. When Vice President Gore, when he was talking, his agenda was about the climate change, and how many years, how many decades ago was that? I mean, they was talking about that when they brought that up. They've been brought that. They've been brought up about climate change and stuff. People, I believe in the science. I can believe in the science. They had polls and polls about the North Pole and the South Pole and how all they were keeping track of all of that, all the stuff in space, and how when they had that government shut down. Now I'm gonna say this one last point, and that's it. When they had the world was shut down and people had to stay at home, they were saying how the satellites from the Earth. They said how the weather was like the smog up there in California and LA, and they were saying how the weather was kind of revitalizing itself, I guess you could say. I just think that I'm not saying that God is punishing us, but if we don't take heed, sometimes you have to sit down. Sometimes we have to sit ourselves down worldwide. If you want things to improve regarding weather, water, food, can you realize I went to the supermarket today and I was trying to observe, about the food shortages and the food things, and it wasn't. I was like, what? $25 for 4 pieces of oxtail? It was like little oxtail. I said, they crazy. $25, and I was looking around, and I didn't. I was like, and this is at Publix, and I didn't see the anything being wiped out yet, I guess you could say. But the price was so dang high for meat. And I was like, dog, the only reason why this meat and stuff is still here is because who could afford these prices? Who could afford it? It was ridiculous. And I was like, good God. So I was like, ugh. So next week I'll get my freezer sometime next week, and then when it's delivered, I'm gonna try to stockpile some groceries in the freezer, like meats and vegetables, and I'm telling y'all, this is the shortages in foods and food and groceries and stuff. That's just the beginning. It's just the beginning. So I said, on Sunday afternoon, I'm gonna go to the Cab Farmers Market because I'm gonna buy me some frozen peas and frozen vegetables, and I'm gonna buy me some turkey legs. No, turkey wings. Please let turkey wings be available when I get there. I know I ain't gonna see no chicken. I'm gonna see, but I'm gonna buy me some turkey wings because Thanksgiving, even though Thanksgiving around November, I'm gonna buy like turkey wings and whatever meats that I could buy. So when my freezer comes, I could have enough. I could have some meats in the freezer and some frozen vegetables until I get some vegetables in my garden or whatever. But I'm gonna do that, and y'all do that too. Try to stock up as much as you can. And anybody's ever in Georgia one day, and if I have me a harvest of kale and whatever, I'll try to give y'all some. If anybody come through town, they come to visit, because I'm surely gonna when I go to South Carolina, I'm gonna see what my uncle got. I'm gonna go right in their freezers, see my grandmother, and they got those big ass freezers. I'm gonna be like grocery shopping. I'm like, hey, what you got? I'm gonna have my little cooler and do my little grocery shopping in the house, within the house, and see if I can get me some fiddles, because it's ridiculous. And we have to buckle down, y'all. But anyway, now I'm leaving. See, Tyson, I gave you enough time to give you some commentary. Hey, Blue True. So y'all stay safe. Please wear your mask. Please wear your mask. And if you could take the vaccine, please do that. Don't be like, I ain't taking a vaccine. No, don't do that. And if you're not going to take the vaccine, then stay home as much as you can. Please do. At least stay home. If you ain't going to do it, at least stay home and don't be around people. That's all I'm saying. But anywho, y'all have a good night. And the person who sent me the message, we'll talk tomorrow. So text me before you call me, because sometimes my phone doesn't work. So I have to put the earpiece in, because it just don't work. Anyway, y'all have a good night and stay safe. Talk to y'all Sunday. Bye.